Hi, and welcome back. Today, for this podcast, I'm going to be talking about writing crafts. I think that using writing crafts in your classrooms really enhances your students' writing because it gives them kind of a toolkit of things that they can apply to their own writing. And I'm going to be using the book Skippy-John Jones and the Doghouse to talk about some of my favorite writing crafts today. In the story of Skippy-John Jones in the Doghouse, the author uses the writing craft of personification. Personification is when you give human attributes to something that is not human. So in the case of this story, the author is giving the Siamese cat attributes of a human. My kids love personification. They write stories about being a pencil, or being a frog, or being a tree. It's really quite entertaining. In this story, they use a lot of text placement. Text placement is when you vary where you put the words on the page. So instead of just having a picture at the top and text at the bottom, the author has varied the location of the text, and it helps move the story along and captivate the reader. One of the crafts I like to teach right away I call word wrapping, and it's when the author uses the words to almost become part of the picture. So in this page they've used the word bounce, bounced, to kind of carry the words in the shape of the action. An important craft to teach your class is dialogue. You can do it either through quotation marks in the text, or you can do it in speech bubbles like a cartoon. In this story, there's quite a bit of dialogue because Skippy-John Jones does a lot of talking. This year, for the first time, I taught the writing craft of lyrics. There are more and more lyrics showing up in books, and the kids really enjoy it because it's engaging and fun when the teachers sing the lyrics to them, and then they can write their own. If you can only teach one writing craft this year, I would highly recommend teaching onomatopoeia. It's when the words make the sound of the action. So, for example here, Skippy-John Jones, he's jumping around and he's going, Chewy! It's fun, it's silly, and all the kids have to do is write the sounds they hear. As you can see, my book has sticky notes and post-its and tabs hanging off of it, and most of my classroom books do. Because when I sit down to plan a story, I put the tabs in so I know exactly what crafts I'm going to focus on, and I leave them on there. Even on my bookshelf where the students are reading the books, I leave them on there so they know what crafts I was focusing on. And sometimes they find crafts that I'd never even noticed, and they write about them and stick them in the books too. I think that sharing my thought process with the children helps them because they know that good authors and good readers are always looking for crafts in stories so they can apply it in their writing. When choosing a book for Writer's Workshop, you can choose an amazing book like Skippy-John Jones and the Doghouse, but you wouldn't teach all of these crafts on one day. You'd choose one for each day, or you could even choose one a week like I do. So for example, I would teach a whole week on text placement, and this story would be one example during that week. Writer's Workshop, you don't read the whole story to the class. This would be pre-read during Reader's Workshop or during another story time. During Writer's Workshop, you would go back and you would just preview the page or a couple of pages that you would use for that lesson. So if I was going to teach a lesson on text placement, I would pull out just this page and we would discuss the different text placements, the different locations of the text, and why the author would use the text the way they did. The lesson would only be a few minutes long, and then I would model on a piece of chartboard or a whiteboard my my story using text placement. When the children go to Writer's Workshop, they can use whatever crafts they want, but sometimes I walk around and just see, oh, you're using text placement. I like how you're using the craft that I taught today. In general, if you're reading as a writer, you're going to be noticing crafts all the time in your stories. And the more you notice them, the more your students will notice them. And the more your students notice them, the more they'll show up in their stories, and they will become much more amazing writers. So I hope that this little snippet has helped you with what writing crafts are and how you can use them in your classroom. Now don't forget, if you have questions or comments, feel free to email me at info@elementaryteacherresources.com, and I look forward to seeing you on the next podcast. Bye! Hi! I hope you enjoyed my first... Ooh! Dwala, I need help. Then you'll continually add new crafts to your repertoire. Ooh.